And we're live. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Dave Guerra here. This is Let's Have a Chat About Leadership for Tuesday, March 31st, 2020. Good evening. How are you? Made it to the end of March, but it still feels like March. It's one big Monday. That's all March has been a Monday. We know that. And it looks like April is going to be the same. April's just going to be a big blur of just one long April thing kind of phasing into May. Now they're talking May, but I think we're all kind of feeling that that might just be a bit better thing to do, is to go ahead and get into the mindset of May, and then we'll kind of go from there. But I do hope you're fine, you're healthy, you're paying attention to the rules, and again, distancing yourself, physically distancing yourself, not socially distancing, because that's what we're doing. We don't want to socially distant. We want to physically distant. So stay in touch. So you be in touch. Okay, so today it's Let's Have a Chat About Leadership. This is the show where I remind you that everyone is either a leader or a future leader. Don't forget that. And today's topic, leadership in the news. It's Tuesday. That's what we do on Tuesdays. COVID-19, communication, supply chain, crisis management, leadership, and price gouging. Unfreaking believable price gouging. Folks, it is insane. There's this company, the TexasTribune.org, Texas Tribune, all one word.org, and they're reporting someone says they have 2 million N95 masks for sale. The asking price is 6 times the usual amount. So as healthcare professionals beg for supplies to protect themselves from the COVID-19 infection, a Texas company found a seller with at least 2 million masks and quietly offered them for sale at $6 each. Before the pandemic, they were $1 each. And these are the N95s. These are the important N95 masks. So again, $6, price gouging. Yeah, get away with $2, maybe $2.50, but let's not get crazy. Times are tough. I get it. You got to cover your bases, but $6. Wow, that is insane. In normal times, the report reads, in normal times, N95 masks would cost a big corporation $1 or less, particularly if it ordered 1 million of them. Excellent. But these are not normal times. And the pitch from industrial supplier, and I'm going to say it here because they say it there, Hatfield and Company, they're out of Beaumont. They're out of Beaumont, Texas, just out going like between Houston and Louisiana border, this little town called Beaumont. And oh, geez, never mind. I won't even get into that. Anyway, but these are not normal times. And the pitch from industrial supplier Hatfield and Company to sell as many as 2 million masks to a major U.S. oil company last week wasn't your typical offer. So again, they're not even selling them to hospitals or medical professionals. They're selling them to another oil company. The Texas-based supplier wanted $6.3 million for a minimum order of 1 million masks, with an option of buying 2 million for nearly 13 million. So even more than twice, because 6.5 would be times 2, 13, right? Okay. So in this case, they're asking for 6.3 for 1 million, but 13. So you see how that's nonsense. And sales documents and interviews indicate at the time when the new coronavirus was rapidly spreading across the country and healthcare professionals are desperate for these face masks, which filter out at least 95% of airborne particles to protect sick people and themselves, critics say a price like that smacks of profiteering and price gouging by someone in the supply chain. Quote, you're not just marking it up like 50 cents. This is highway robbery, said an industrial salesperson familiar with Hatfield and Company's pitch who is not authorized to speak to the media and requested anonymity. Quote, it's disgusting to me, folks. It's disgusting to everyone. I understand, make a couple of bucks, as long as you're taking care of your people while you're doing that. But this is just blatant. This is excessive, and it's nonsense, and it's there are laws against the state of Texas, and pretty much every other state in the nation has said, this price gouging nonsense is going to stop. This price gouging nonsense is not going to take root, and it's not going to become the standard, and it's going to stay the exception, and they're going to deal with it. So guess what? It's going to happen here, should the sale have actually gone through. But again, there's more on the side of the truth. In this case, there's nothing to cover up. There's nothing, because so much information got out quickly. Again, what do you do? And as that organization how does it recover from this? Because now their name is out there. Now their name is someone who is, well, it lacks scruples. Some organization here based in this is lacking the scruples, lacking the morals, lacking the Texas, neighborly Texas thing to do that Texas is known for. So here's this company in Beaumont, Texas, about as Texas can get. And they're doing this to their own neighbors. They're doing this to their own people. They're doing this to their own country. They're doing this to their own fellow citizens, all in the name of profiteering. Now, again, this is nonsense. Let's see. The Texas Tribune report went on and said, who did they speak to? Hatfield and Company said it did not mark up the product excessively or engage in price gouging, telling the Texas Tribune that its own supplier set the, quote, terms and conditions for the sale. The company declined to identify the supplier or quantify how much it stood to profit, citing its contractual agreements. So if it's in writing, why not share it? Then we know, and then it wouldn't make this much of a deal, but it becomes a deal when they start hiding it. And here's what happens. Again, according to the Texas Tribune, Brad Lindeman, the Beaumont-based Hatfield and Company salesman listed as the contact for the proposed sale, said in a brief telephone interview Sunday that the company had access to an undisclosed quantity of N95 masks that are stored in warehouses all over Texas and other states. Quote, there are some in Houston, Dallas, Florida, and I guess you could say spread out all over, Lindeman said. He continues, the inventories are constantly moving, so it's kind of hard to explain exactly what the quantities are. Lindeman said a, quote, group of doctors has the mask, but did not elaborate. He cut off the interview with the Tribune reporter after a couple of minutes and declined any further comment. On Monday morning, Hatfield's president and chief operating officer, Scott Beeman, said the masks were provided by a reseller the company had not worked with before. And he added that the reseller imposed a minimum order size of 1 million masks and that its costs were reflected in Hatfield and Company's quotation to the oil company. Then again, Beeman declined to identify the reseller and said he had no way of knowing, quote, no way of knowing the veracity of the statement that Lindeman, the seller, or the guy in the contract, was told regarding a doctor or a consortium of doctors owning or having access to this material, end quote. In an email, Beeman wrote, end quote, I cannot release any information about our supplier. We do have a written quotation from that company. We will be willing to disclose that to the state's attorney general and or the head of purchasing for our customer so that they can both verify that there was no price gouging involved in our pricing to the customer. You're guaranteed the attorney general is going to hear about this. You're guaranteed you're going to turn that over. Folks, this is nonsense. If this is happening at the leadership level and it's trying to, they're trying to cover themselves, I get that. They're backpedaling, kind of saying, no, there's nothing wrong. We got proof. Well, why are you not showing the proof? Why is this now the time that you got caught? How long has this been going on? How often before this had this price gouging been going on? Was this the standard? Because if you found a new supplier and they wanted this much, what does that say about your previous suppliers? Did they want more? Folks, like I said, these are the times that we start peeling back the layers of transparency. We start peeling back and we start seeing things for what they are. And these are the times that are going to make or break organizations. This is the time that your organization does not need to be in the nonsense that Lindeman and Company out of Beaumont, Texas are in. Because again, this is going to be hard. And in the industry that's built on word as oak, in industries that a handshake is more than a contract, on an industry that's built on you got the goods, we got the money, we'll make a deal, and you're trying to scam people and you're trying to sham them, you're trying to railroad them, you're trying to, screw them over, it's going to be hard. It's going to be difficult. The oil industry is very, very unforgiving. And even that, right now, the oil industry is taking a huge hit. Domestic oil is way down. It's into $20 per barrel. This time last month, in February, we were sitting almost at $60, $56, so less than half of what it was then. They're going to remember. And this is going to be an issue that, will they be able to recover? Leaders, do what's right. You know what to do. This is the time to actually shine. This is the time to step out of the shadows. This is the time to be out front and say, hey, look, we're here to help. We're going to make this and we're going to come through this together, because I guarantee you, those organizations that step up and say, we're here to help, we're here to make things happen, those are the ones that they're going to get my money. Those are the ones that people are going to remember, but they're also going to remember the ones that did the bad, the ones that were trying to railroad other people, trying to rip people off, trying to do something bad when they should have been doing something good. Something to think about. Employees, team members. Yeah, the money makes sense. I get it. I understand that. But again, at one point, that's too much money. And if you're part of that and you're conniving, you're scheming, you're trying to perpetrate something, guess what? The same thing. And I guarantee you, if you have that kind of leadership that's already trying to sweep things under the rug and cover things up, there's going to be the kind of leadership that's going to throw you under the bus. Guaranteed, because they're going to look for a scapegoat. So that guy on the contract, you see how his name is out there forefront. So be ready. This is nonsense. Those days are over. Those days are over. This coronavirus is just, like I said, it's the great equalizer, and it's going to make businesses just like it's going to break businesses. Listen, it's Tuesday night, the last day of March. And what did I learn this month? What did I learn about March? And I'm going to start doing that the last day of the month. What did I learn this month? Well, that Mondays do not end. Sometimes they don't end. Sometimes they last 30 days. Sometimes they last longer. But I also know that, hey, in times when we need to pull together, people will pull together. And in times when people are doing something wrong, they're going to get found out. It's just that simple. You get found out lacking, guess what? It's over. So March, I'm glad you're done. I'm glad this is over. I know we have a couple of hours here in the States before the calendar turns to April 1st. And I hope and I pray that April Fool's Day tomorrow, all of this just gets found out as just one big hoax, one big Fool's Day. But, we can only hope and pray. But between now and then, have a great evening. I'll be back again on Thursday, Lessons in Leadership, and we'll talk then. But in the meantime, keep your eyes open, head on a swivel, be safe, be kind to one another, take care of each other, look out for each other, because yes, we are all in this together. And that's the only way we're going to come out of it. So until then, peace.